Today, I am going to walk you through how to print on a compatible wireless brother printer from inside a Flutter app. To get started, open up Android Studio, and select New Flutter Project. Then select the path of the Flutter SDK. Give your project a name. Verify its location. Make sure you have selected application for the project type. Then, enter your organization name by using the reverse URL style. And for this project, we will only need Android and iOS selected as the platforms. Then click on Finish. This will create the starter Flutter project showing a button and a counter that tells you how many times you have pressed the button. To start, let's add the Another Brother package from pub.dev. This will allow us to easily connect and print to compatible brother printers from inside a Flutter app. To add the package to our Flutter project, let's open up a terminal and run the command flutter pub add another _brother. This will find the most updated version of the package on pub.dev and download all of the package files and add them to our project. Now we need to configure some platform-specific settings to use the package. On the Android side, we need to change the Min SDK version to be 19. So open the Android folder and then the app folder and open the build.gradle file. Find the Min SDK version and replace the text with the number 19. On the iOS side, we will need to add a number of permissions to the info.plist file, along with the strings that explain why we need to request these permissions of the user. So let's copy this block of code to the clipboard. And then open up the iOS folder, then open the runner folder, and then open the info.plist file and paste in the code we copied. The last step of iOS configuration can only be done on Mac OS. Open the runner.xc workspace file in the iOS folder in Xcode. Once Xcode is open, open the pods folder and find the pod for the Brother SDK and open the libbrother SDK.a file and in the target membership section, check the box in front of another _brother. Now let's change the app, so that there are two floating action buttons. One that will allow us to increment the counter as before, and another button that will print the text on the screen to the brother printer. To do that, we will replace the current floating action button with a speed dial. So let's head to the terminal and add the Flutter speed dial package. Then head to the pubspec.yaml file and get the packages. Now back in the main.dart file, let's replace the floating action button with the speed dial, one to increment the counter and one to print the text. Let's create the functions to actually handle the printing. Create a new file called printapi.dart. Then create a printapi class. In that, we will make a print text method. The easiest way to connect and print to the printer is by Bluetooth. However, on mobile, the user has to give your app permission to both scan for devices via Bluetooth and connect to those devices. The easiest way to handle the requests to the users is to use the permission handler package. We will get that package added to our project, and can then ask users permission to access Bluetooth in our app. On the Android side, we will need to adjust the Compile SDK version to 31. We will also need to edit the Android manifest to state that we are requesting Bluetooth scan and connect permissions. For iOS, we will need to copy and paste the included macro into the pod file in the iOS pods folder and remove the comment symbol in front of permission Bluetooth. Now back in the app, in the printapi.dart file, we are finally ready to start requesting the user approve the app to access both Bluetooth scan and connect functionality. If they don't, we will display a snack bar letting the user know that they won't be able to print without that permission. Then we just need to add in the needed imports, and pass the build context into the function, so the app can display the snack bar. Now the Another _brother packages uses the same name for classes like orientation and align, which are also defined in the material library. So to make sure the compiler knows which class definition to use, I import the Another Brother library as brother. We can now instantiate the brother printer class and start configuring the specific printer's information. First, I can set my printer's model. The class has a convenient model enum, so I can select my printer, the QL1110 NWB printer from autocomplete. We can also change whether the app should try to fit the content to the page size or keep the original size. We can set whether the paper should auto-cut the paper when finished printing or not, whether the printer should print in portrait or landscape mode, how to connect to the printer, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or USB, and the alignment of the text on the page. The next step is important. We need to set the type of paper that is installed in the printer. We do this by setting the label name index property of print info. Since I have a QL1100 model printer, I will start with that model and select ordinal from ID and look up the ID from the QL1100 enum. I am using the DK roll that is 4.07 inches by 6.4 inches. Converting those measurements to millimeters, we get a width of 103 and a height of 164, so I will select the W103H164 and get the ID by calling the getID method. And lastly, we need to actually assign the printer info to the printer. We are now ready to initiate a scan and find all the Bluetooth devices that the phone is connected to. You will need to connect to the printer using your phone's Bluetooth settings before you can connect and print. To filter and find which Bluetooth device is the printer, we pass the enum for our printer's model and call the method getName. If the scan didn't find any printers, then we alert the user by displaying a snack bar. But if it did find a printer, then we want to get and save the MAC address of the printer for later use. We can now start to format how we want the text to appear that we want to print. To do that, we use the Dart UI library to build a paragraph of text. We just need to import Dart UI and then also add a parameter to our function that we can pass the string we want to print to. Then we actually need to build the paragraph. And finally, all the magic actually happens when we call awaitPrinter.print text and pass in our paragraph. This will actually connect to the printer and print the text we specified with our formatting. So now we have a floating action button to increment the counter, or to print the text that is on the screen. But what if we want to print something besides text? For example, what if we want to print a picture? Then let's add a static function to our print API to be able to print a picture. We will pass in the build context to be able to show snack bars again to the user if printing fails, and a string that is the path of the image we want to print. Now, rather than duplicate all the code that we wrote in print text that set up and configured our printer, let's refactor our code and extract out all the printer configuration to its own method called configurePrinter. We will have it return a nullable brother printer object. Now we can move all our configuration code into this new configurePrinter method. Now, because this function returns a nullable brother printer object, we will need to update our return statements to either return null when no printer is found, or an instance of a brother printer object when one is. Next, we can call the configure function at the start of our print text method. We just need to check the null case before we can call the print text command on the printer. We can reuse this printer configuration method in our print image function as well. Then we just need to load the image and get its bytes. Then we can print it just as easily as we did with text by calling printer.printImage and pass in the image data. Now, to be able to call this function, we just need to add an additional speed child on our home page and pass in the image we want to print. By hot reloading, we can see the addition of our new speed dial. We can also easily add the ability to print a PDF file by creating a print PDF method, passing in the build context for error handling, the string path of where the PDF is stored, and the page number you wish to print. After configuring the printer, just call awaitPrinter.print PDF along with the file path and page number, and the PDF is printed effortlessly. So let's add another speed dial on the main page to be able to call this print PDF function. We just need to get and process the bytes of the PDF file. We will need the path provider package to be able to access the app's temporary documents directory, so we will add that and then hot reload the app to see the final changes. Now, when printing, don't forget to make sure that the Bluetooth light is lit on the printer, and make sure that you have gone into your phone settings and paired your phone with the printer before trying to print in the app. Here are samples of printing text, images, and a PDF from the Brother printer. The full copy of this starter code is available on GitHub and the link is in the video's description. Hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.